All right, IM2 classes. We are going to start off our year with a review of how to graph slope-intercept form. Starting off, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. This should be a reminder from last year where m is the slope. That's the rise over the run. The rise is how far up and down the line travels, and the run is how far left and right. And that's between points there. The y-intercept is b. That is where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's also going to be our starting point for the graphs when we're graphing these. Let's look at an example. First example, y equals 2x plus 1. First thing I'm going to do is identify the slope and the y-intercept. Starting off with the slope is 2. It's the number attached to the x. Slope is easier as a fraction, so we can read the rise and the runs. If it's a whole number, I'm gonna make it a fraction by putting it over. All right. Next is the y-intercept. That is the number that's being added or subtracted at the end. So plus 1 doesn't have a variable attached to it. That means the y-intercept is at the point 0, 1. Right. The x-coordinate is always going to be 0. The y-coordinate of the y-intercept is going to be whatever attached at the end here. So remember, it is an x and y axis. X is the horizontal axis, the left and right one. Y is the vertical, the up and down one. So I'm going to go 0 steps in the x direction, positive 1 in the y direction. That means up 1. And I like to put a green star at my starting point, just to demonstrate that is where we are starting this graph. It can be a normal point, it doesn't matter. I like to put a green star. But the slope, again, it's rise over run. So since it's positive 2, it's going to have a rise of 2 and then a run of 1. From the starting point, I'm going to go up 2, the right 1. And then I'm going to do it again, up 2, right 1. I can do that as many times as I want. 2 or 3 is fine. You can also go in the opposite direction. So if I go back to the starting point, I would go down 2, left 1. You have to go opposite in both the rise and the run. You can do as many spots as you want there, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1. And then once you have some points, you're going to connect them all. Hopefully you do a better job connecting your points than I do. Sometimes working with my little board here is difficult. But there you go. Connect them with a straight line. All right. We are doing linear equations. So you should be connecting everything with straight lines. I don't know why that random line just shot off there. Shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to go back and fix it. Let's do another one. The slope is negative 2/3 on this one. So it's attached to the x. So it's going to be 2 over 3. When it's a negative, you want to put the negative with the top or the bottom. It's just easier to keep track of. It doesn't matter which one. You just can't put it with both. I like to move it with the top, and I'll just make it easier to keep track of. The y-intercept is 5. So 0, 5 is my starting point. So 0 in the x direction, up 5 in the y direction. I'm going to put a green star at that starting point. And then using the slope, negative 2 means I'm going to go down 2 and then to the right 3 because it's positive 3. So that will give me my negative slope. So down 2, right 1, 2, 3. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3. Just do it a couple times. You can go in the opposite direction. You can go up 2, left 3. That's fine. But when it's negative, the negative with the top or the bottom, not with both, because if you go in 2 negative directions, you'll end up with a positive slope. Right? 2 negatives make a positive. So just 1 negative direction. Another example. Now, what happens if it's the y-intercept is negative there? So the slope, again, not what I wanted. The slope is 1/2. Again, since it's negative, I'm going to put the negative with the top number. So that will give me, I'm going to be going down and to the right. The y-intercept, since it's -4, that means the y-intercept is going to be at -4. So when this is negative, right, this is negative down here. What that means, my starting point is at 0, -4. So that's 0 in the x direction. -4 means down 4 in the y direction. And put my green star at the starting point. Right? And then the slope is -1/2. So that means I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2. Down 1, right 1, 2. Down 1, right 1, 2. You can go up 1, left 2. And connect them with a straight line. Next example, y equals x. So it looks like there's no slope, but remember, there's a little bit of invisible math here. There's actually a number in front of the x here. That would be a 1. So this is y equals 1x. So it means the slope is 1. Again, when you have a whole number as a slope, make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So the slope is 1 over 1. The y-intercept, there's nothing being added there. So it's like we could add a 0 at the end. So if there's nothing being added, that means the y-intercept is 0, 0. That point is here at the origin. It's right there, 0, 0. You can put my green star starting point. Now, slope of 1 over 1, so that means I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1. Up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. And then down 1, left 1. Opposite direction. And missed a few, and that's okay. Do your best to connect them with a straight line. All right, so 3/4, kind of like the one we just had. So the slope here is 3/4. The y-intercept, again, fix this real quick. The y-intercept, again, you could put like a +0 at the end, so it'd be 0, 0. So I'm put my green star at 0, 0, the starting point. And then 3/4, that means I go up 3, right 4. So up 3, right 4. So up 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot. Up 1, 2, 3 to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do one more in the opposite direction. So that's going to be down 3 to the left 1, 2, 3, 4. And connect them with a straight line best you can. All right, so this one, there's no x on this one. So that one means the slope is 0. So if you don't have an x in there, this isn't the slope, right? This is going to be the y-intercept. The slope is attached to the x. So the slope is 0. Again, this is a whole number, so you can understand what's going on with it. I am still going to make it a fraction by doing 0 over 1. We're going to come back to that in a second. Let's do the y-intercept. It's -3, so this crosses the y-intercept at 0, -3. So I'm going to go down 3, put my green star starting point. And then it's 0, 1, so that means it goes up 0 to the right 1. So up doesn't go up anywhere, and to the right 1. So what happens if you don't have a slope? If the slope is 0, there's no x in the equation. It's a straight flat line. The slope is 0, so it has no rise in it. Not go up or down, it just goes to left and right. It is a straight horizontal line, and it goes to whatever that y-intercept is. I think this might be the last graphing one. So the slope is negative. So remember, negative, that's going to be a -1. It is a whole number, so I'm going to make it a fraction by putting it over 1. The y-intercept, we're not adding anything. So the y-intercept is going to be 0, 0. And we could add a 0 to make that more obvious, but green star starting point here. And with that -1 slope, that means I'm going to go down 1, then right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. You can go in the opposite direction, up 1, left 1. And connect your points with a straight line. Kind of straight. All right. Next, write an equation. based on this should be real simple. Remember, we are writing the equation in y equals mx plus b form. So the slope, whatever this is, goes in for m. And then whatever this is, the y-intercept, goes in for b. So when I do this, y equals x plus, it's going to be, the slope is 3/5, and the y-intercept is 1. And that's it. All right, slope 7, -2. If you have a negative y-intercept, that's where some kids might make some mistakes. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave my x blank here. So this 7 comes down here. It's attached to the x, so 7. And then because it's a -2, when I put this in here, it's -2 there. That is it with that one. Write the slope intercept form of each equation here. So first we need to identify the slope and the y-intercept. What you want to do is find points on the line. So there's a point here. I'll make these more obvious on this summit, and then there's a point here. So now I need to count the slope. So the rise, it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3. Right, so the slope is up 7, right 3. Right, the y-intercept is right here at 4. So that's 0, 4. So that means the b value that I'm going to use is +4. And then I put that information into the equation. So y equals 7/3 x plus 4. Same thing over here. Here's the y-intercept. And another point I'm going to count to. So this one goes down 1. So that's going to be a -1 in the y direction. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3. So the slope is -1/3. The y-intercept, here's our b value. The y-intercept is at -2. So the b value is -2. When I write that equation, that's going to be -1/3 x minus 2. And look at that. We are done. And we'll see you guys next time when I think we're graphing absolute value.